Yo, what's up, guys? Honestly, not a good day. Not a good day so far. You can see Underdog Fantasy. I mean, we literally went like 2 for 3 in everything. So that sucks, but college football starts this weekend. I got my drink, I got my sports books up. So not much to complain about, long story short. And I got my DoorDash on the way. But what we're going to do in this video is just kind of look for some bets. There's some good college football value. There's some good plays out there in general. So we'll just look for some value in the market. Again, I say this at the start of every video, but I follow a very data-driven approach to my bets. That's what's worked for me. This isn't something you need OddsJam or you need a software to do. I promise you, regardless of the sportsbooks you use, regardless of if you ever use the software or not, like these concepts are going to help you, make more money sports betting. All these concepts are just based in math. So what we can do without further ado is, I'll take you through one of the plays I went with on PrizePicks, and then we can just look through the market, see where there's value. I also say this in every video, so apologize if it gets repetitive for the people who are on a lot of these live streams, but there's thousands of sports books out there in the world. There's only 207 on OddsJam, and you're not going to have access to all of them, right? Like, not all of these books are going to be in your location. Different states, different countries have different sports books, that are legal. So depending on where you're located, you can see, hey, there's some good value on South Alabama on WinBet, right? But WinBet isn't a sports book I have access to. So on these live streams, I try to focus on the books, I have access to, obviously. I'm trying to make money here. But also the books that, a lot of people have access to, like ParlayPlay, like Underdog Fantasy, PrizePicks, Fliff, FanDuel, DraftKings, all the different books. So without further ado, let's just kind of get into some of the picks. And I'll give you one I went with, and this is just a very simple example, right? So Navy Notre Dame, going to be an exciting game. I just locked in, where is he? Estimate over 78.5 receiving yards. So you're going to see literally every other sports book has his line at 83.5, right? Does that mean this bet is a lock? No, it doesn't mean it's a lock. It just means, we found value in the market. We found a discrepancy. As a sharp bettor, you're kind of like forming your own little hedge fund, right? Are we live? Let me make sure we're live. Yeah, we're live. What's up, guys? So we do have rushing receiving props. So you can see a lot of sports books have started to add rushing and receiving props for college football. I think depending on the state you're in, you may or may not be able to bet them. But if you look at like rush yards, you're going to see Estime, first college football game of the season, I believe, Saturday, 11:30 start time. You're going to see his line on DraftKings is 83.5, right? As a sports bettor, even if you don't use DraftKings, like I'm currently in California, I can't bet on DraftKings, but knowing that DraftKings, their model, this is a company worth like $12 billion. They have really good models, right? They have a lot of engineers. They have better data feeds than you have for setting lines, right? They're taking bets, moving around lines due to supply and demand. Knowing where they're setting his line is a data point, right? So all these data points are telling us, PrizePicks has Estime's line too low, so we probably want to take the over. But what we can do is we can start out on ParlayPlay. So this is a sports book where it seems like there's some pretty good value. So let me just get rid of the NFL for now. Don't really want to bet on the NFL right now. We still got 3 weeks until that, whereas college football, we got 3 days. So again, ParlayPlay is it's a good sports book to have for a bunch of reasons, right? First of all, they have different promos, right? Like PrizePicks has their Taco Tuesday. All these books have different promos. So the more books you have, the more promos you're going to have access to. But also, all these books have different lines from one another. So you can see this first play, and ParlayPlay is definitely more beatable. Like, you can find, in general, pretty good lines on their platform. Or that's not what I want to go with. I want to go to ParlayPlay. And here we are. So if we look at Tyron Smith, right, all OddsJam is doing, this tool I'm on, which is where I find most of my bets for ParlayPlay, PrizePicks, called the Fantasy Optimizer. I included a code so you can get a free month of OddsJam if you want to try it out. If you want to try out data-driven sports betting, promise you it's at least going to help you make more money. So if we look at, this guy's line, PrizePicks has his line at 74.5 yards, right? ParlayPlay has his line at 69.5 yards. That's a discrepancy. That's an inefficiency in the market. So what you could do is you could hit the over, right, on ParlayPlay. A 5-yard gap is pretty big, right? Like, these sportsbooks are screwing up early college football lines. There were some bigger discrepancies earlier, but regardless, 69.5, 74.5. So what you could do is you could do what's called a middle. So OddsJam actually has a betting tool for middles as well. But a middle is you take the under 74.5, you take the over 69.5. Again, this is all possible because every sportsbook sets lines independently, right? They all need to be unique. If every sportsbook had the exact same odds and lines, we wouldn't need 1,000 sportsbooks across the world. But they all set lines independently, slightly different lines. They try to be unique. So they're all setting lines independently, and we're capitalizing when they screw up. So the first thing you could do is you could middle bet this, right? You could hit the over and the under. It's kind of like if you were a day trader and you bought a stock for $69.50 and then you sold it for $74.50. Hit the under on PrizePicks. Pretty similar concept, right? But in general, ParlayPlay seems to be stupider than PrizePicks, so I'm just going to take this play on Tyron Smith. So that's the first play that seems decent. Here's another one, right? Dorian Singer, under 70.5 yards. FanDuel and DraftKings, you can see, have his line in the 60s. So that seems like a decent play. If we want to load up some college football bets, we can get going. And again, what's great about this platform as well, ParlayPlay, if you don't have it, we won't spend the whole video on it. We'll go to PrizePicks, Underdog Fantasy, FanDuel, all that kind of crap, but it's a good sportsbook to have. What's also cool about it is every single day, you can do this thing. It's called slide the line, which basically means one pick you want to go with, you can bump the line in your favor, right? So sports betting's all about finding value. No one's going to win every bet. It's all about having an edge, winning long term, right? Thinking like a hedge fund, thinking like an investor. So we were already going to take the under 70.5, right? But we can bump this guy's line to 72 and make it even better, right? Only a max bet size of $20 for this promo, but regardless. So now we have our second pick, and it's okay, what else do we want to go with? What else looks good, right? So we can take a look here, right? We might as well go to eSports. And again, these slips seem so random. It's oh, you got eSports, college football, tons of crap in there. But again, as a sports bettor, you got to think like an investor. You're just following the value. You're finding an edge in the market. You shouldn't really care what, sport you're betting on, stuff like that. So anyways, let's go back here. And it looks like ParlayPlay. Where did PrizePicks have his line? No, let's skip over that play. So let's continue to go through. Let's look for some lines. So in general, I like the plays where all the books are aligned. So you can see, there's some plays, college football will dabble a little. But you can see is there enough value to place a slip on ParlayPlay? There definitely is, but I prefer to see the plays where every sports book is aligned. You can see PrizePicks has the same line on Kin. What did I just do? They both have his line at 7.5, so that makes you kind of not like the bet, even though Underdog Fantasy has the line a bit lower. So again, as a sports bettor, ideally, every sportsbook is telling you the same thing, that a play is really good and has value, right? So we can go through a little example, right? Depending on the books you use, maybe you have this book. So the Dolphins at plus 140 on Circa, that seems like a pretty dang good bet, right? You have literally all these sports books, a lot of them billion-dollar companies. They have really good models. They're moving around. A lot of people think this market's static, right? The sports betting market is not static. And what I mean by that is when you're placing a bet, essentially, so here's a perfect example, right? Well, that's not a great example. Let's increase this a bit more to 140 again. And let's see this play on the Dolphins. Or this play seems good, right? Under 1.5 rounds in Junior Tiafa. So you can see there's some good bets on Circa. But anyways, what I was going to say is these books move around lines due to supply and demand. So when you're betting with your gut, it actually means you think you're smarter than everyone else because these sportsbook lines are based on where action's coming in the market. Just like the price of a stock goes up, if there's a lot of demand for it, right? Sportsbook odds, if everyone comes in and starts hammering the Dolphins, the sportsbook's going to lower odds on the Dolphins in week 1. But again, what's great about the NFL is there's tons of books posting lines. Whereas like college football player props, it's not like, you have dozens of sportsbooks posting lines like NFL money lines. It's much more limited. But anyways, we have 2 picks. So we just need to find some more plays that we can go with. So we could do eSports. Why don't we just lock in a slip and I'll shut up for a second. So let's remove this play on Kin and we can take him. And we're doing the slide the line. We'll do it. So we're only going to get a max bet size of, and then we want to take him under 36.5. So 1 over, 1 under. Again, like these slips are crazy, but what's actually crazy, like the reason you'll see me do a lot of esports is there's so many games, right? Like you can see, well, there's a lot of soccer too, but I mean, this is all esports, right? Like there is just so many games every day, and a lot of games means a lot of surface area for the books to cover, and a lot of opportunity for them to screw up lines. They all have thousands of esports lines up. They're all trying to manage their own lines, set lines independently at 10:30 on a Wednesday night. Like they sometimes screw up. So under 36.5 here, perfect. What else do we like? So then we can take this guy. I mean, again, I just try to make sure I'm not playing players from the same game. If you're playing things in the same game, you gotta consider the correlation on the plays you're getting. But that's not super exciting. So what we can do is we can just bet some of these. And again, maybe we'll end up middle betting some of these as well. I'm not sure. Cuz under 7.5, how do we feel about this? I kind of like this. Cuz under 7.5. So now we have a 6-pick entry, right? We're only going to be able to bet it. Again, we're doing this little slide the line feature, an added benefit. We were already going to take this guy under 70.5 because the sportsbooks had his line lower in the 60s, and we're getting an extra little bump to 72.5, which seems pretty good. And then this play on Cuz, we wanted to take his under. So seems good enough. And I say this all the time, but another benefit of having multiple books is like, you really never know like which book is going to have the really good bets on a given day. So if you look at Sleeper, like they don't even really have lines up for football. It doesn't seem like there's no good bets. So the more books you have, again, this is only in sports betting. It's not true with like trading, because like trading, max bet size of $20, and this will be our play for the promo, slide the line. And again, like if you can't make money on these promos when they're letting you bump a line, it's really hard to make money sports betting, period. But anyways, here's my first pick if you want to tail on parlay play. Anyways, they don't move the money. They don't move the money based on the money. They move the lines based off money. So I'm just trying to respond to the questions, do a better job at that, right? Like, you think about the price of a stock. Facebook is $294.24. If there's more demand than supply, more people trying to buy, the price will go up. It's the same thing here, right? Like, FanDuel doesn't enter, week 1 of the NFL season with $1 billion of risk on the Dolphins. They're just letting people bet the Dolphins, right? If all the action is coming in on the Dolphins at plus 138, which is exactly what happened here, they'll lower the line to plus 132 because it's indicating to them there's more action coming in on the Dolphins at plus 138. That plus 138 is too good of a price, right? The Dolphins shouldn't be as big of underdogs. They shouldn't be at plus 138, so they'll move the line to plus 132, right? And then if action keeps coming in on the Dolphins, lopsided action, sportsbooks reduce their line to plus 120, right? That's how it works. I mean, if you look up Sportsbook Trader, you'll notice all these sports betting companies have job applications to become a trader, right? Because that's exactly what trading is you're reacting to all the orders in the market and moving your prices around. So that's exactly how sportsbooks work. Every single one. So anyways, you can see there's some good bets on FanDuel starting to pop up as well. Andrew Heaney, under 5.5 strikeouts. FanDuel's pricing this at -110. All the other books are around like -150. So again, I don't have access to FanDuel right now. It's not legal in California, but this would be a great bet, to go with if you use FanDuel, if you want to bet on FanDuel. Whoa, and you can see WinBet is popping up with some lines as well. They just opened odds for college football, it looks like an hour ago. And you can see here, Miami, Ohio, right? Like, you have 2 data points, not a ton, but I wish I were in a state with WinBet. I love WinBet. It's one of my favorite sports books. This play looks good too. South Carolina +128 versus North Carolina. It's also an arbitrage bet to Bovada, right? So anyways, we locked in a play on ParlayPlay. Hopefully some of you were able to tail it. Again, they have a $100 deposit bonus. You sign up, deposit 100, they'll give you 100 for free. My code is just ALEXM, my refer a friend code. But anyways, what we can do is we can go to Underdog Fantasy next, and we can take a look. There's also some plays on Fliff, but we hit a lot of Fliff bets on the previous live stream. There's not a ton of sportsbooks available in Texas, California, but one of the main ones that is legal, that is available, is Fliff. So you can see there's some decent bets on Fliff. Colorado State +11 at +105. All the other books pricing this at like -110, right? So the way you can kind of think about this is like when the book has the same price on both sides, it's saying, both outcomes are 50-50. That's how sportsbooks work, right? If they're giving you the same odds on both sides of the bet, they're saying both outcomes are equally likely to occur, 50-50. Like a coin flip, 50% heads, 50% tails. But Fliff is giving you +105 on the Rams +11. So it's kind of like you're flipping a coin with a friend where you make $105 if it shows up heads, but you only pay your friend $100 if it shows up tails. That's a no-brainer bet because the coin's 50-50 heads, tails. You're getting $105 if it shows up on heads. You only pay out $100 if it shows up on tails. Of course, the coin could still show up on tails and you'll lose money, but it doesn't matter, right? Over the course of the long run, you'll make money. But anyways, so what we can do is we can go here. Let's get rid of football for a bit. Placed a lot of football bets earlier. We can take a look at Underdog Fantasy. Let's see what's out there. So you can see here, here's an example of maybe a good middle bet. Again, you will never find this level of discrepancy in any other sport, right? Like it's only going to be in eSports where you get, this is insane, right? Like imagine LeBron's point line at 26.5 on PrizePicks, 23.5 on Underdog. You'd think there was a promotion going on a sports book, right? So you kind of have different options here. You could middle bet this. You could take the under on PrizePicks. You take the over on Underdog Fantasy. And then if he has 24, 25, 26 kills, you make money, right? And you'll notice if you do your own research, so many people start betting, they don't do their own research. Middle betting, doing shit like this, taking the under on PrizePicks, over, capitalizing on this inefficiency in the market. Sports betting hedge funds, syndicates, this is their main strategy, is middle betting. Middle betting and arbitrage betting. So if you're actually looking to get serious about your sports betting, it's important to learn about. Or, in general, Underdog Fantasy seems to be the side that screws up their lines. So we could also just take the over on Underdog Fantasy, which maybe is what I'll do. Again, it was a kind of beat day on Underdog. You're going to see literally 5 plays in a row. Went 2 for 3. So just because you have an edge doesn't mean you're going to win every bet. That sucks. But hey, just kind of how it is, right? So we can go here to Venor, under 4. So in eSports, these guys literally have triple headers. And again, that's just a lot of surface area for the sports books to cover. They can't manage their lines. There's a lot of discrepancies, 3.5 versus 4. So what we're going to do is we're going to take his under 4, right? Because SportsBattle and PrizePicks are both in agreement. This line should be lower at 3.5. And again, what kind of sucks about esports is there's not as many books posting lines. Most of the major sports books, Bovada, Circa, they don't post esports lines, but whatever, right? The math still applies. So then we can go to SUPA under 6. And then, you just want to make sure, obviously, you're getting the right game. And it looks like you could play this in either game. So what we actually did yesterday, what we want to do is, I'm actually not sure which game we should bet. Esports gets a little confusing because or whatever. We can take this guy under 5. These guys go, and you can see they already moved that line, right? Players no longer available. So you really have to move quickly. I try to respond and answer questions, but then some people get mad at me because you'll see they lock markets. These lines can move pretty dang quickly sometimes, which obviously sucks. But anyways, let's look up this player Sezekalad, right? So what we want to do is we wanted to take his under on Underdog Fantasy. I just want to make sure I got the right line. So you can see for his third game in his triple header, homie better be getting a big paycheck for a triple header. You're going to see PrizePicks is aligned, right? Like PrizePicks has the same line as Underdog. There's no discrepancy, no value in the market, right? Most plays aren't discrepancies, right? But we don't need a ton of discrepancies. Out of these tens of thousands of lines on Underdog Fantasy, you're looking for those few rare plays with an edge. You know, it's kind of like as if you're working at a hedge fund, you search through thousands of possible investments for those rare few investments that actually have an edge, right? That is high enough to justify your risk. And it's kind of the same thing here. So what we can do is we can refresh this. These lines can move quickly. Take a sip of my drink. You can see there's some good plays on SportsBattle as well. The issue is like with SportsBattle, I can't pull it up on my screen. But it's a good sportsbook to have. No problems there. There's a lot of good bets on SportsBattle. So we already have a couple picks. And what we can do is we can find our third pick. So here it's like eSports. Blame under 39.5. It's like, okay, the other sports books, again, there can be value in CSGO. Sometimes there's good bets in the NFL, MLB, whatever. It doesn't really matter. I'm going with these 3 eSports unders. So if you want to tail it, here it is right here. So if you want to tail it, there it is. If you don't have Underdog Fantasy, that's one of my most profitable sportsbook. That's my refer a friend code. And then Alex is, you know, my one for SportsBattle. So 3-pick entry on Underdog Fantasy. So what we can do is, it didn't seem like there was a ton. Well, you can see there's some more good plays possibly on Underdog Fantasy. And again, some of these may be middle bets. Like maybe we want to middle this player Coolst, right? So like on ParlayPlay, we have his over 36.5. ParlayPlay has really good payouts, which is obviously a good thing. So let's refresh this. And again, like moving quickly, as you probably saw, is pretty important for any sports betting strategy, right? This is a market. Sportsbooks can move lines whenever they want. So ideally, you can move quickly to get in on the best betting opportunities. Damn, there's still some good plays, so we might as well find one more play we can go with on Underdog, or we could switch to a different sports book. So you look at this guy. In this case, right, they're wrong on the under. So again, like Underdog Fantasy has a different model than PrizePicks, than ParlayPlay. So all these books are trying to manage their own lines. And essentially, as sharp bettors, you're just like capitalizing on those inefficiencies. Sometimes you can find middle bets, right? So you're going to see... For Caleb Williams, I got him over 275.5 yards. So it looks like we're going to go 3 for 4 at the start of this slip. This freaking loser couldn't go over 2 first map kills. Caleb Williams over 275.5. And then on Underdog Fantasy, like this discrepancy, where is Caleb Williams? Here it is. We have him under, like that's crazy, right? That's a 30-yard middle. That is insane, right? If he ends up between 276 and 305 yards, we're going to win both bets. But if you take a look at Caleb Williams now, what they have his passing line at 313. So it seems like PrizePicks was the one that was off there. But we can take a look at PrizePicks, and we can see they just removed his line, period. So you're not going to be able to middle it anymore because PrizePicks is being a bunch of babies, and they removed their line. And so did ParlayPlay. They removed this passing line. Crazy. Right? But long story short, this market is very dynamic, right? So we can refresh this. Let's go to the bottom and start working our way up. See if there's any plays we like. So we like config over 37. Sure. What else do we like? Sezekalad under 3.5. This play I'm a fan of. So we want to take him under 3.5, and this is in the first game. Caleb Williams would probably lean to bet him under 313, but whatever. So then we can take Coolest over 34. I mean, we could middle bet this, whatever. So let's take a look here. Damn, that slip does not look good. So we have Coolest, Fuzzle, and we can take a look here. And again, like, once I'm back on the East Coast and using sportsbooks like FanDuel, you know, Caesars, there will be less like variance, right? The thing is on PrizePicks and on ParlayPlay, we're placing bets for like a 25x payout because that's what's available, right? Like on Underdog, you can only place parlays. You can't just place one bet. You can't place a straight bet like you can on FanDuel. So that just naturally means you're going to have more variance. You're going to have more ups and downs because you literally can't place straight bets, right? So we can go to Techno over 34.5, and you can see a lot of these plays are good middling opportunities as well. So what do we have on ParlayPlay? I don't really love middling. I try to avoid it. I like having my sweat on. So you can see here, like this play maybe seems a little better, right? Like there's 3 data points all telling us, yo, Underdog Fantasy screwing up their line. So Techno over 34.5 seems like a good play. Or you could play Blame F under 39.5. Or we could pair them together in a 4-pick insured entry. So I've explained this before, but I'll just link the article because I think it's important. Let me just find it. Is the number of picks you want to go with is really important. Like, it doesn't seem like it would be that important. Good call, Christopher. So bankroll management is a little confusing on PrizePicks, right? Because all of these plays are kind of weird payouts, right? Like if you go 4 for 5, you still make money. If you go 3 for 5, you get some of your money back. So it's a little confusing. I basically recommend for new people, like place 1 unit on PrizePicks 5-pick flex plays. And on Underdog, I recommend placing like 0.5 unit on a 3-pick entry. On a 5-pick entry, probably like 0.25. But again, it's just complicated for these platforms because of their variable payouts. Like it's hard to have a very simple strategy. So this play seems good, right? And we can lock in a 4-pick entry with insurance. You want to go with insurance. Oh, so I already hit my max on this first guy. So you don't want to play insurance on 3-pick entries. It's horrible if you do, actually. And you can go through that article. It kind of explains why. And again, on PrizePicks, you'll never see me place a 3-pick entry because they only give you a 5x payout, right? Underdog gives you a 6x payout. This stuff really matters long term. So we'll place that. And okay, so we went through a lot of the board in general. We can go back here. And again, if you want to lock in some bets on Fliff, a lot of these plays I went with, you can see there's some early bets kind of showing up for tomorrow. I can select all these sports books, take a look, see what's out there. So over 49 points, right? Plus 120 on Fliff. Pinnacle, one of the sharper, smarter bookmakers, is down at plus 106. Where does it show the game time? So it doesn't on OddsJam, but what I do is I just kind of like check PrizePicks and I check Underdog. So like, for example, this play, it's recommending we take, well, what's a good example? So maybe we look at this play. So like Venor under 4 is, if you look at PrizePicks, OddsJam is telling us, yo, his line is 3.5 on PrizePicks. So if we go to PrizePicks and we type in Venor, we got to go to League of Legends. And again, knowing how to navigate these sports books is important. You're going to see it's the second game where his line's at 3.5, right? 10 a.m. So that's what you'd want to place on Underdog. We'll add start time here in a bit, but that's kind of how I do it. And again, I highly recommend you get as many of these books as possible. I'm going to have a ton of bets during football season on all these platforms. I literally would bet my entire net worth by the end of football season. We will be up money. If you started on these live streams from net profit 0, you looked at the end of the live streams, literally would bet everything I own that we're going to be up money because it's just math, right? It's just following the data, following math, and math never lies. The data never lies. Ball State plus 25.5 at plus 100. There's some random soccer bets. I mean, again, more books you got, the better. So we'll call it a live stream for now. Hopefully this was helpful. I'll put my email if you have any questions. Well, it looks like there's some questions. So bet openly, I don't know anything about it, so I'm not going to talk on it. How do you know when a play has edge by the odds? That's a good question. So we have some videos on it. I mean, well, there's one simple way to start. I mean, it's kind of hard question to answer directly, but like I'll give you an example. So you can see there's some eSports arbitrage bets. But right now, in Miami, Ohio versus Miami, Florida, if you had both PointsBet and Fliff, right? This is an arbitrage play. Arbitrage means, if you have both of these sports books, based on the massive discrepancy in odds, right? Like, I mean, this is like massive discrepancy. Fliff is fucking up a lot of college football lines, or PointsBet is, who knows? But because there's this massive discrepancy, you could bet the over on PointsBet, lay 375 to win 100 on the over. You could bet the under on Fliff at plus 495, bet 100 to win 495 if the under hits, and make a risk-free profit, right? Just due to the differences in the odds. It's kind of like if you could buy a stock from me for $10 and then sell it to your friend for $12. You make a risk-free $2. Just due to discrepancies in odds. Again, this is called arbitrage betting. It's how I started sports betting. Made my first $40,000. No risk, just arbitrage. And then I started dabbling with the promos. And then, yeah, the rest is history. But, so if you can bet on both sports books and make a risk-free profit, then by definition, one of these bets has to be profitable, right? Just due to the odds, right? If you can bet on PointsBet the over and on Fliff the under and make a risk-free profit, by definition, one of these bets has to be positive EV, which just means profitable long term. So that's kind of how it works. But anyways, we'll call this live stream for now. Hopefully it was helpful. Feel free to reach out. Absolutely, Denzel. Thanks so much for your time. Anything you want in the live streams, any guests you want, fuck it. If you want to be on the live stream, feel free to reach out. Going to be trying to do these daily, going through different concepts, stuff like that. Football gearing up. I love football. So have a great rest of your day.